And we're back with season 4. Obviously, with all these plants and farm life and the new recruits that they have, we got another time skip. Thanks to the directors of the show, they said this episode is the 500th day of the apocalypse. Roughly, we're a year and 4 or 5 months in. Rick goes out to show us his little farm life, which is actually hilarious. Next to some of the plants, he finds a gun, probably one of the fights from the governor. Then he looks over to the walkers to see one of them looks weird. Seems like his eyes and mouth started filling up with blood, then he died. Rick thinks it's nothing, but I think some type of flu is going around. Carl comes to help Rick, which his hair's longer. They even have pigs now, but one of them's sick. Hopefully they can get her fixed soon. Also letting his hair grow out. Goes to talk to Carol, which of course these two don't date, but Carol still flirts with him. He also talks about how Rick's been bringing in a lot of people, so he's been bringing more people since Woodbury. Even having enough people to go out on runs, cook food, and protect the walls. Unfortunately for them, lately they've been getting a lot of walkers crowding up. They have to be careful. These walls are what's keeping them safe. Tyrese seems like he's been liking that one girl that survived in the Woodbury massacre. Okay, we're getting a lot more character development this season. Daryl, Michonne, and some of the others are going on a run, this new dude being included, and he's Beth's boyfriend. He says he's scared that he might not come back, so don't be sad if he doesn't, and Beth says, okay. Yeah, she's way more stable than she was in season 2. If you were wondering where Michonne was, she's here. Forgot to leave out. She kind of comes back to the prison here and there, but she's been looking for the governor this whole time. Rick tells Herschel that he's going to be going outside of the prison walls just to look around and sightsee. So Herschel says that's fine, he just has to take his gun, which he does. He looks around to see a bunch of dead animals and then sees a walker going for it. Yeah, Rick, even I thought that was Walker. She calls for him, saying that she needs his help. She's starving and hasn't eaten in days, and she's trying to find food for her and her husband back at her camp. Rick gives her whatever he had left for lunch, then decides to help the woman, but he's got to check her first. Oh yeah, and there's like 5 more kids, but you don't need to know about any of them until later on. For now, we're only focused on Carl's new friend. He's the main plot. While Daryl, Tyrese, Sasha, Glenn, Michonne, the new dude on the right, Bob, and Beth's boyfriend end up finding the place that they're wanting to check. Which possibly this could be a 50-50. There's a bunch of military camps here. They all go inside the store while this new dude, Bob, isn't really feeling it. Yeah, well, his guts tell him the right thing. There's a helicopter that's on top of the roof and it could break at any minute, dropping a lot of walkers on them. Let's hope that don't happen. They make it inside, but Bob seems to want to take some of this alcohol home. For some odd reason, he says no, throws it down on the shelf so it falls down and falls onto him. This attracts all the walkers on the top of the store building. If they keep getting close together, they might collapse the roof. Lucky for Bob, nothing's hurt on him. His leg's just stuck. With all that glass from all those bottles and he didn't get hurt, he needs a lottery ticket from that. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if they have those. They try to go help Bob while walkers are falling from the sky. I thought pigs flying was the craziest thing, but I guess I've seen it all. While they're getting attacked back at the store, Glenn almost comes to a near-death experience. Oh yeah, and Bob's just screaming for help, which is kind of stupid because there's a walker coming for him. Daryl gets crowded in the area, which is really bad because the helicopter's about to come down on him. Lucky for us, Glenn was right beside of Daryl, saving his life. Beth's boyfriend ends up lifting up the cabinet while Daryl pulls out Bob. Unfortunately for Beth's boyfriend, he gets grabbed and gets bit. So they all get out of the store before the helicopter collapses down on them. Meanwhile, the woman took Rick to her base and he doesn't see her husband. While Rick's looking around, she goes to attack him and she says that he hasn't eaten in days. Yeah, she's talking about her husband is starving and she needs to feed him humans. She says after he died, she couldn't live her own life without him, so she just kept him. She said it was wrong, then pulls out a knife and stabs herself, killing herself. And people say season 4 was boring. As we see her husband dead in a mask, Rick walks away. At the prison, it looks like Carol's teaching all these kids a bunch of stories. Until all the dads and moms leave the room and Carol brings out knives teaching them how to use them. Carl's friend, being too scared, ends up saying he's sick and walks away. And Carl himself isn't too happy about Carol teaching the kids how to use knives. Rick goes outside to check the pigs, seeing that same walker from earlier, noticing that the pig that was sick earlier is completely dead now. Yeah, it seems like we're going to be dealing with a deadly virus. And we thought walkers could be the worst of her concerns. In the middle of a stormy, cloudy night, Tyrese goes up to his girlfriend and says that he don't like going outside the prison because of what happened to the store, and Daryl has to give Beth the hard news. She takes it pretty well because she doesn't want to cry about things anymore. I swear at the end of the show, if they show she's a robot, I'm done. Oh yeah, and with everything happening today, I guess everybody can go to sleep. Well, Bob hears somebody coughing bad, and it's not off the ganja. Carl's friend isn't doing too well. Remember when I told you he's important? He tries to go take a shower because we've all had those moments where you're feeling sick and you gotta get in that warm shower. Until he randomly collapses and we don't hear any sounds from him. Maybe he just passed out. No, he choked on his own blood, which comes out his mouth, eyes, and nose. Yeah, our team's got something to deal with. And we're back with episode 2, starting with that same night. Also, somebody random in the prison is feeding the walkers rat. We have some type of virus going on, but now we also have a sociopath. As we remember from last episode, Tyrese's girlfriend went back to her block, D block. Oh yeah, and she was followed by Carl's friend. No, I just call him Carl's friend, but his name's Patrick if you really want to know. Patrick almost goes over to Tyrese's girlfriend for a Happy Meal until he hears breathing from somewhere else. Imagine being the most unlucky dude and getting killed right here. Either way, all of D block's open so anybody can get killed. Morning hits and we're just greeted to Rick waking up Carl. Yeah, nobody really knows what's going on because it's only happening in D block. Glenn and Maggie are still staying in one of the towers. He then goes on perimeter check and gets her breakfast. Carl and Rick are taking care of the plant life and feeding the pigs while Michonne's going on her run until we start hearing gunshots from D block. Rick goes after her while he tells Carl to go up to Maggie because he's not allowed to have a gun ever since everything that happened with that kid. He still ends up having to use one to save Michonne's life because she wanted to die to these two walkers. Unlucky for her, she still sprains her leg very bad. Rick and the others make it to D block seeing that everybody is dying. Carol finds somebody that was bit on the arm and she goes to knife it off until she realizes he got bit on the back of his neck. Rick, Glenn, and the others end up taking out all of them and find Patrick. Both Herschel and the new doctor that they have talk about what disease it could be. And it's a type of flu disease. Apparently the choking on your blood thing's for the internal pressure blowing up. If you want an example, if you shake a soda can and you know how it explodes, just imagine your eyes, nose, and mouth being the top. Yay, a sickness that can kill anybody at any time, and they all could be infected. The man that Carol was trying to save ends up having two daughters, Lizzie, the older one to the left, and Mika, the right one. They hold him one more time and then Carol has to do the deed and kill him. Aggie, Michonne, and Carl end up getting to Rick, but he tells them to stand back. He says some type of virus is going viral and is killing people in a day. Everyone who's in C block has to be safe because Judith is in there and she's vulnerable to dying. Oh yeah, I forgot to say that. Judith is Rick's daughter. Right now, everyone that could be infected is talking about who's showing symptoms. So far, everyone seems safe until Tyrese is trying to take his girlfriend to C block and she starts coughing. Yeah, you're not going to C block with that cough. Meaning she's gonna have to stay here and get checked up on while Tyrese goes back to his block. Carol goes outside to watch her two new daughters. Lizzie's looking really weird at that gate. And that walker over there. Anyways, even though they're going through a pandemic and trying to bury bodies, there's still a whole bunch of walkers going at their gate. It's getting worse and worse, almost breaking the barricaded sticks there. Wow, walkers are becoming a threat again, and we have an infection going on. Michonne and Beth get to just chill around with Judith. Okay, the prison wall is about to fall. They need to make a decision now. Rick finds one quick and tells Daryl to go get the truck. Michonne holds Judith for a minute, which she didn't want to, but Beth had to go get some stuff, which Michonne breaks down and seems like a good mother. Yeah, she had a kid at some point. Rick and Daryl take the truck out, attracting all the walkers. To keep their attention, he's gonna have to kill the pigs. Yeah, I'm not gonna show up, but one by one, he cuts them, throws them down, and lets the walkers kill them. Very sad to see, and they're not getting bacon anytime soon. After everything's done, Rick goes to burn all the things for the pig, while Carl tells Rick that Carol's been teaching the kids how to use knives. Carl says that he should let Carol go through with it. Rick agrees and gives Carl back his gun. Please don't shoot any innocent kids with this. Well, that was a crazy episode. Nothing else could get worse from that, right? Whoa, Tyrese goes to check on his girlfriend, which she's gone, and sees a blood trail. He follows it, and we know we're dealing with somebody sadistic. It then takes him outside to see two burnt bodies. Looks like they were also alive before it. Tyrese looks over to see a bracelet, which he notices was Karen's. That's a top tier episode. And we're back with episode 3. We cut to Glenn and some of the others as they're digging spots for graves. Dang, is it just me or did anybody else get Jim vibes from season 1? This virus keeps going like this and they're not gonna have any room for plants. Both Herschel and the doctor by day are finding people that are dying. Oh yeah, speaking of dying, let's get back to that important part. Who killed Tyrese's girlfriend and David? This episode has my favorite intro and this is why. Like, yeah, Rick's scary, but this dude's a scary motherfucker. Like, Daryl's just asking him to chill, and he just pushes him against the gate. Rick pulls Tyrese off, then he goes to push him. Rick goes to say that Carol wouldn't want this, and Tyrese punches him. Not once, but twice. Rick gets up and he's like, yeah, you know what? All right, let's get this shit going. He starts kicking him and beating the living shit out of him. Lucky for them, Daryl was there to stop him. Yeah, Tyrese is gonna have some bruises, and Rick literally just broke his hand. Best intro in the entire franchise. Herschel stitches Rick up, asking if he's okay. Rick says he's alright, but we all know in reality he's super stressed about the strain. Bob tries to go talk to Tyrese, but he does not want to be talked to. Like, look at his eye. Ugh. While Glenn and Herschel were talking about the infection spreading, it seems like Sasha's getting sick too. Oh yeah, and it gets worse. The doctor says that it's spreading bad. Nearly everybody that was in D block or that was around all the walkers got sick. Herschel says the only way they're gonna make it out of this is if they get antibiotics. Herschel talks about a veterinary hospital that has antibiotics, the same ones that they need. Daryl knows the one he's talking about, but it's 50 miles out there. Even with it being a straight shot, it's gonna take a minute, but Daryl's gonna assemble a team real quick and get it going. Carol and Rick try pumping out some water and figure out that's only pumping out mud, so eventually they're gonna have to go outside the gates and fix it. Rick comes over to talk to Tyrese and, apologizes. He also says whoever killed Karen, he will figure out about it. Rick has a theory that whoever did this was trying to stop the infection before it spread, which it already did. And it's bad, with people coughing up blood showing symptoms very fast. Maggie goes to check on Glenn. No, he has the sickness. So, who's gonna be going on the ride with Daryl? Daryl, Michonne, Bob, Tyrese. Daryl sadly has to put everybody that's showing symptoms in a room. Even some people think that they have allergies, but she still has to put them in there. Cut to Carl and Herschel being outside of the prison. Cause even though Daryl and them are gonna be back eventually with medicine, it's gonna be a while. Herschel's getting the ingredients he needs for a medicinal tea for the ones that are more likely to die. Daryl and all the others are about to leave while Carol's obtaining water. Tyrese comes up to her but scares her. He just says thank you for being there for him, which of course she's down to be here for him. Well, she starts panicking and breathing hard. Yeah, something's not right with her. Rick starts investigating the murder scene. The only thing he really finds is a handprint. Meanwhile, Carol is unplugging their water drain outside the prison by herself. I mean, she does clean it, but there are a lot of walkers coming towards her. Rick eventually comes out to help her. Rick says they weren't supposed to do that till tomorrow, but Carol decided to take matters into her own hands and do it herself. Whoa now, Carol. Daryl, Michonne, and all the others are on the road trying to listen to music till they find an actual radio broadcast station. I actually have a theory that this is a CRM. For right now, don't worry about it, we might come back to it later. Daryl doesn't see the walkers in the road, and hitting a walker is just like hitting a person. Just enough of them will stop a car. Oh my gosh, that's a horde. Daryl finally decides to hit LT. Unlucky for him, he gets stuck on all the walkers. Daryl says they have one choice, they all jump out of the car now and go for the woods. They all go while Tyrese sits there for a second. Eventually he does come out and starts beating the crap out of every walker, telling Daryl and all the others to go while it keeps their attention. Dang, now I know what I looked like in The Walking Dead Survival Instinct. They make it to the woods where 2 zombies follow. Oh yeah, and Tyrese didn't die or get bit. I'm actually not playing when I say that. They keep moving. Herschel gets back with his tea, and it only works to a certain amount. Not only that, the other doctor is terribly sick. Herschel goes to check up on Glenn to make sure he's okay. For now, he seems alright, but he's still going through it. Episode's over, right? Rick asks Carol if she'd do anything for these people in the prison. She of course says yes, and Rick puts it all together. He asks her what we're all thinking. Carol, did you kill David and Karen? Carol says yes. Oh, if Tyrese figures out, she's gonna be dead. And we're back with episode 4. This time, for some reason, Rick and Carol go on a run. Must be far too, because Rick's filling the car completely up. Also bringing a lot of equipment and putting the gas inside the car. Oh well, it's time for them to go on the run. Carol knows that the only reason why Rick brought her was because he don't trust her alone. Makes sense. If you're trying to look for the target and the person's talking to you all the time, you might be the target. They make it to a couple abandoned houses, and this looks a lot like the Survival Instinct game. Daryl and them also find a car because they gotta get going. Unlucky for them, they're gonna need a battery. They find a bunch of weeds in front of them, but there might be a way through. And there is a door on the other side. Tyrese is too busy yanking while Daryl's just like, bro, chill. Tyrese accidentally cuts the rope off the door, so now walkers are coming through. All of our team takes him out, but Tyrese still keeps trying to take this walker out. Daryl and Michonne even tell him to stop, but he's so pissed he pulls the whole entire walker out, almost killing himself. Daryl and Bob luckily save him, while Rick and Carol are checking houses, looking for any resources they can find. They do find some medicines that haven't expired. Oh yeah, and they also find 2 survivors. Dude and the girl were at a camp, it got destroyed, and he got his arm broken. Then before, when they were at the camp, they had a big fire, so the woman's lost one of her legs. Obviously, she has 2 now because she has a prosthetic. Carol goes to check his arm and says to get up on the table. Not gonna lie, we haven't really seen Carol be that useful. Putting the arm back into place isn't easy. They end up telling Rick about their camp and ask if they have any place to stay. Rick says yes, but there's a sickness going around. Michonne and Tyrese start talking and he gets pissed, while she says one of my favorite quotes from the show. Anger makes you stupid, and stupid gets you killed. Rick tells both of them to just sit here while they check all the other houses and come back for them. On the other hand, Carol says that they could just check some of the other houses, so I guess it's a deal. They're gonna split up, look for everything, and then go back to the prison. Instead of finding a car battery for that car, Daryl and Bob find a van that works. Daryl calls them all over and they all get back on the road. Rick and Carol are still looking for medical supplies, and she asks why he hasn't talked about the people that she's killed. Rick's like, what do you want me to say? Carol says it has nothing to do with what he says, he just needs to acknowledge what she did. She stepped up, made a big move, and thought it'd save everybody. Daryl and all the others finally make it to the resource center and gather a lot of goodies. As they're about to leave, they go check on the other 2 and find the girl's leg. Oh yeah, and her body getting mauled by a couple walkers. They don't see the dude, so they decide to leave. Daryl and them are trying to make it out, but they end up finding a bunch of walkers on the way. Only problem is they got stuck in a corner, and now they got walkers coming towards them that are infected versus a door that they don't know if they're infected or not. Lucky for them, none of the infected were at the door, so they get through. They're still getting followed though, so they break a window, jump out so they can get away. Bob almost falls, dropping his bag, and I was sitting here like, why did he not drop this bag? Of course, Tyrese and Daryl end up saving him, but the bag hits the floor and makes a glass sound. Everyone hears it, and Daryl goes out to his bag to see that Bob's bag is empty. He has exactly one alcohol bottle just for him. Daryl almost throws it, but Bob gets mad and tries to pull out his gun. Daryl got that dog in him and is not gonna let that shit happen. He says as soon as those antibiotics get into his people, he's beating his ass. Bob, at this point, go home. I'm not fighting that. Rick finally talks to Carol about the whole entire thing. He says that she killed 2 innocent people, which she shouldn't have done. If Tyrese figured out, he'd kill her. Everyone else probably wouldn't be too fond of it either. Rick also drops the harsh bomb. If everyone dies of this sickness and it's only his family and her, he doesn't want her around. That's why Rick brought all those clothes, food, and gas earlier. This trip was actually to get her a bunch of food and medicine so Rick could send her own way. It truly is a sad moment because Carol was becoming one of the good characters. She gives Rick her watch to remember her, then she leaves going her own way. Did this really happen? Is this a dream? The episode ends with one of the best songs ever, only because I feel like it grasps everybody's emotions in the episode fully, while also showing us that Rick had to make a big decision. Just because you're the leader doesn't make these things easy. And we're back with episode 5, starting with Rick on the road. Right after Rick told Carol she had to go, he's on his way back to the prison, which things are not going well. A lot more people are dying, even with the breathing attachments. Oh yeah, and the biggest thing is Herschel's not sick. He's old, and I'm surprised that he didn't die from the sickness. Also, he has not slept in 3 days, helping all of them. What a G. Yeah, if Daryl don't come back with those meds soon, I don't think those meds will matter. Meanwhile, since everybody's gone, Maggie's been the only one taking out the crowd of walkers at the gate. Kinda crazy if you think about it. The first episode had 12 of them on it. Rick makes it back and asks how Carl and Judith are doing. Maggie says they're fine and Sasha and Glenn are surviving. Oh yeah, then she asks where's Carol. He then explains to Maggie that she was the one that killed David and Karen. She thought it wouldn't spread, which it did anyways, and if Tyrese is back, he probably don't want to talk to her. Rick then asks Maggie if she would have done the same thing, cause she says if she would have admitted to it, then yeah, she would have had to leave her, but she couldn't have done it. Rick then gives all the others some food and tells Carl he still needs to stay away. The other doctor tells Herschel just in case things go very badly, he does have a backup. This shotgun with shells, and it will come in handy if we need it. Herschel says he shouldn't have to resort to that, but I mean look at him, he's already starting to bleed. Rick comes to check on Herschel and says he's doing a good thing. While with Herschel more people are dying, Sasha's knocked out. Not only that, they're starting to turn into walkers. Herschel gets us back to Sasha, while Glenn tries to help this other dude, but wait, no, somebody needs to hurry in here, he's not doing well. Herschel gets pushed down by a walker, which this other dude tries to come in and save him. He then gets bit, shoots his gun, and kills the alive woman. Wow. Rick and Maggie are the only one making barricades, but he says that she needs to go check on them. Herschel finds the doctor's room with the undead doctor, while Rick took Carl because they gotta fend up this gate. Sadly, things go terribly wrong and the gate breaks, so they gotta run for it. Since they're now closer to them, there's a bunch of walkers and they gotta take them out. Rick teaches Carl everything he needs to know about an AR, shows him how to reload it and everything. It's automatic, it's gonna kick, so you better be ready for it. The choice is they either kill them all or run. Herschel, on the other hand, got the doctor's shotgun. Hopefully Maggie can make it on time to help Herschel because they need to save Glenn now. Herschel gets stuck with a zombie, but Maggie can't properly shoot it because it's got the breathing tube, till she gives us a perfect headshot and we get the breathing tube perfectly. Herschel and Maggie make up to Glenn, but he is choking on his blood bad. They do get the breathing tube in him, but we don't know if he's gonna make it. Rick and Carl took out all of those walkers. Wait. Yes! Daryl and the others make it back with the medicine that they need. So the only ones that survived that weren't part of our group was Sasha, Tyree, Lizzie, and Mika. Glenn seems to be passed out from everything. Either way, with the medicine that they have, it seems like he should survive. Herschel finally goes to rest, which honestly made me super sad because he's been up for 5 days now. So when he gets alone, he starts to break down. Honestly, who wouldn't? Everybody died and Glenn's on life support. Cut to the next day, just like we did in the first episode. Michonne's piling up all the dead bodies to take them out to the woods, while Rick and Carl are gonna get back on their farm life. Tyrese asked the good question we're asking, how's Glenn? And Herschel says he's stable and finally breathing on his own. Daryl basically calls these two badasses, which they are. Since Michonne's going out, Herschel asks if she wants any help. Of course, she says get in and they ride off. Yeah, I was about to say, they better end the episode perfect. Alright, so I guess that's it. No. So, the governor's back. And we're back with episode 6, starting with the past. Well, in reality, is a couple months ago, we started with the governor after he massacred all of his people. Eventually, the black dude ended up dying, while the governor didn't care about death. A walker walked straight to his face, and Martinez had to kill it, and he just sees that he doesn't care. So, since that happened, Martinez ended up taking off by himself, leaving the governor. Another fire song this season? Yeah. Guess it's a good thing Rick took in all those people because the governor bashes through Woodbury, also burning it down. Months pass by, but I'm pretty sure this is still before the sickness hit the prison. The governor sees a bunch of names on the barn. I'm pretty sure when Milton said the governor's name is also Philip. Instead though, when he sees a barn, he goes by the name Brian to everybody else. Still lying to himself just so he can get a new life. Obviously it's not gonna be nothing new though because he's at the prison now. He keeps walking until he falls down and almost passes out until he sees a little girl in a window. He goes to it and it's actually a real girl with family. Oh yeah, and one of them's got a gun, but the governor's not trying to fight. He just puts his gun down and wants to come in. Okay, this episode might have one of the longest intros for The Walking Dead. That was 5 minutes. On the far left is Tara Chamber, which has military experience and guns, while on the right you just got her sister, Lily Chamber. And the governor did in fact see a kid. Her name is Megan, and she looks a lot like Penny, not gonna lie. Last one you need to know is the old man, David, and he's kind of on life support, meaning he needs oxygen at all times. Not the kind we breathe, either the tank. Lily checks up on the governor and makes sure that he's alright, even bringing him food. Guess he's not a SpaghettiOs type of guy though, so he throws it out to the walkers. Then he eats tuna from a can? This dude's a serial killer. Tara and all of them end up hearing a loud noise, which is just the governor leaving his plate. Instead of him just leaving, they let him come inside. They kind of explain their experience of the first part of the apocalypse. The military were trying to wipe out everything and kill everyone in Atlanta. Lucky for them, they had this whole place stocked up with food and still have enough to survive another 20 years. If rationed right, of course. After them talking, the governor helps the old man out to his bed. He says thank you and he wishes he could do something about the sound upstairs, so the governor goes and does it. All it was a mauled up walker making the noise, so he just kills it. Next morning, Lily explains to the governor that her dad's got stage 4 cancer. Without those oxygen canisters, he will not survive, so she asks the governor if he can go alone. Of course, he has no problem with it, because what's gonna stop the governor? He finds the canisters, and he drops most of them because he's scared of the walker. Maybe he's not the same governor that we know. He does come back with 2 canisters just so they can see their dad for a little bit longer. Not too long after that, the governor's teaching the little girl how to play chess. If she keeps learning chess now, she might be the chess master in the apocalypse. Unlucky for Tara and Lily, David ends up turning into a walker after dying from not having oxygen. So the governor takes him out in front of everybody, which is not nice to see. While the governor's digging a grave for her dad, Lily comes outside and thanks him because they wouldn't have been able to do it. They also know how the walker change works, but they still were really scared. The governor finds a picture of him and his family that he's probably been keeping this whole entire time and burns it. Probably symbolizing that he wants to care for these people now and he wants to treat them as his new family. Never mind, he tries to leave so he can forget everything again. Lily says that he's stuck with them, so he decides to stay. Since there wasn't anything left in the apartment, they end up taking a truck and leaving the whole place. Oh yeah, and Lily and the governor do it. The governor single-handedly almost took out all the girls in this series. The governor wakes up next day feeling like he's him, until the van messes up and now they have to walk. A horde of walkers start coming their way, so the governor says to come towards him so they can go through the woods. Megan does not move because she's scared of everything that's going on right now. So eventually she listens to the governor, jumps straight into his arms, making him almost feel human again. Instead of fighting for nothing, he's actually fighting for a family. He keeps running with Megan in his hand and then falls into a hole. Oh wait, a rectangle shaped like hole with walkers in it? Wonder what this is from. Either way, the governor and Megan get trapped down there, so he takes out all the walkers. And while he's fighting those walkers, he ends up hearing shooting, and guess who it was? Martinez. Question is this gonna be good for the governor or bad? And we're back to episode 7 with the governor. Even though this is only a couple of episodes, it's kind of crazy having a different main character. Obviously, the governor, Megan, and all the others are at a camp now, cause Martinez did end up pulling out the governor. Later on, we figure out that he only did this because he has a kid and a family, so he thinks he changed, even helping him up and going by his new name, Brian. The governor explains to Megan more about chess. Just like life, there's more than 1,000 ways to win, but you still gotta move in the right steps. Martinez also explains to the governor when they get to camp that he's the new leader. So yeah, One Eye Bri, it's time to go on a run. Bro, they have a tank? What the? 4 right now we're on the run, and most of them are actually enjoyable, especially this dude. He went from an ice cream truck worker to a tank driver. That's his tank. Huh, a lake near their camp. Definitely not foreshadowing anything later. Martinez and all of them end up making it to a cabin to see a bunch of people dead, so they might find supplies here. They all walk to the dark cabin until they finally get attacked. Doesn't really matter when you have the governor on your side, because they find a bunch of supplies and beer. Governor doesn't drink too much, but he does see that Martinez talks a lot when he gets drunk. Even next day when they're all eating lunch, Martinez tells all the others how him and Brian came from the same place. The governor does not like this though. The more they dig up about his past, the more they'll know who he is. So Martinez ends up leaving since he's too drunk. He actually just takes his drunk self to play golf, while telling the governor what happened to the black dude. Yeah, I know, even I thought he died at first, but apparently he did make it with Martinez. Sadly enough, he got bit and Martinez had to put him down. The dude's name was Shumford, by the way. I'm not gonna keep up with all these. Apparently Martinez isn't the only one that knows how to use a golf club, because the governor takes him out with one. Guess he wasn't too fond of what he's saying earlier, so he takes him to one of the holes, letting the walkers chow down on him. Okay, I guess Shumford was lucky to die to a walker. Only problem now is that he took out the captain. The army dude with the tank's brother steps up, named Pete. For now, he's gonna kinda run things. Speaking of runs, they go on one and find a small population of people with a lot of food. The army man thinks that they should go out and just kill them all. Meanwhile, Pete just says leave them be and let's go on. They end up coming back later and guess what? They all got massacred, which even though it's a bad thing, they could have had all these supplies. The next day, the governor walks up to Pete's door, only to come in and immediately kill him. Then he goes to knock on his brother's door. The governor explains that he's not trying to kill him, he just wants to be on his side. Cause people like Pete, the ones that make all good choices, die. He is super mad that his brother died, but he does join the governor. Oh yeah, remember that foreshadowing lake? Yeah, that's where the governor puts Pete's body. See, told you these always be important. Speaking of important, a walker ended up making it into camp. Since camp ain't safe anymore, the governor goes out to find a place. Oh yeah, you know exactly where he went, the prison. Hey, a little while ago, that was the main character. Ah, this day is exactly when Herschel and Michonne went out on the run to go drop off those dead bodies. Well, it looks like the governor's gonna have 2 hostages on his side. He might just get the prison. And we're back with the mid-season finale. The governor's telling his people that they're gonna take the prison because they're the people that killed Woodbury. Also, he has a bigger team that's gonna be involved this time. Cut to seeing the governor knocking out Michonne and taking Herschel as hostage. His plan is to use these 2 to get the prison for free. Meaning he doesn't want to harm anybody, but that also means he will harm people if he needs to. Megan and Lily are gonna stay back while she plays with Dirt, and the governor rolls out with the squad. Finally, back to our main character. Glenn's doing way better. Daryl is pissed about Rick leaving Carol. Now Rick's scared to tell Tyrese about Carol, and he doesn't know when to. Daryl says that they should just do it now. Rick and Daryl find Tyrese, but he has something to tell them. Somebody dissected a whole entire animal. Yeah, we might have a serial killer living in here, and Tyrese still thinks it's the person that killed Karen. Rick says it's definitely not that person, and Tyrese asks why. Okay, that can wait. Apparently something just shook the whole entire prison. Oh, Rick, how long's it been since you've seen him? The governor says that he needs to talk to Rick since he's a leader. Little does he know they're actually a council now. The governor then says, is Herschel and Michonne part of that council? Bro is a menace! Rick makes his way down to go talk to the governor, telling him to let Herschel and Michonne go because he doesn't need hostages, he has a tank. The governor says that he brought hostages because he wants to take this place as nicely as possible. This is gonna be their new home. Yeah, Daryl, just in case things go bad, make sure to give those guns out like cupcakes. Back at camp, Lily's too busy watching a walker instead of her own daughter. Lucky for her, Megan finds a warning flash flood area sign. Yeah, a walker under her comes out of the mud. If the governor would have been watching right here, she wouldn't have got bit. While Rick's telling the governor they can all live together, and the governor says it's not possible. Then he shoots 2 walkers and says the sound's just gonna draw more and they need to leave by sunset. Rick tries to give a good speech, but the governor's still not having it. Rick says they're not giving away the prison. The governor then puts a sword to Herschel's throat, while Rick asks if any of them really want to do this. Rick tries one more time to talk to the governor, even having Herschel smiling. You know, until the governor slices a sword straight through Herschel's throat, halfway decapitating his head off. Rick shoots, everybody shoots back. Herschel did not deserve that. Even the governor finishes him off. Tara, on the other hand, does not want to fight. Lily comes up to Megan to the governor. Wait, how's she not getting shot? Like, at this point, what is our team shooting at? Anyways, he kills Megan. Then tells them to roll in, so the tank rolls in, destroying the fences. The governor has to go down for the most pettiest person in the Walking Dead universe. Everyone gets into a huge fight with all kinds of cars pulling up to the prison. Then the tank and some of the others behind it while the governor's with them. Lucky for us, he wasn't paying attention, so Rick tackles him down and punches him twice. Maggie runs into prison to help Glenn right on time because the tank's shooting straight through their walls. And Rick's kind of losing this fight, but he's still keeping up. Maggie gets Glenn and everybody on the bus, but she still hasn't seen her sister. She tells Glenn to stay on the bus and she's gonna go for it and come right back. Oh yeah, and Rick's getting beat the crap out of. Maggie tries to find the others, but it looks like her, Bob, and Sasha gotta get out of here now. These 3 leave on their own, probably because the bus took off without them. Tyrese ends up getting pinned down with no help until the little girls come out of nowhere and save his life. Okay, now it's gonna be Tyrese, Mika, and Lizzie surviving on their own. Rick starts to get choked to death until he gets saved by Michonne. Rick asks Michonne where Carl and Judith is and she doesn't know. He goes back while she stays with the governor. Then she goes her own way. Daryl takes out the rest of the guards and throws a grenade through the tank to make sure it's exploded. The only ones left seems to be Daryl and Beth, so they gotta get out of here now. Okay, our team is getting split up heavily. Lucky for Rick, he does find Carl, but he doesn't find Judith. Oh yeah, Michonne didn't double tap the governor, I don't know why, but Lily did it for us. Can't have another season of this dude. The walkers hoard in as the prison's gone forever. Rick and Carl being the last ones we see get out, and he tells them not to look back. Right now, all of the survivors of our team are split up into 5 groups. How will they make it back to each other? Guess we'll find out next video.